As we open this service with prayer, I invite you to bring your awareness to this present moment. As you breathe and feel your body being present in your body. Today is the equinox. It's the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere. It's the day when the night and the day are equal. And so we might breathe in and just focus on balance. Today, the night, and the day are balanced, equal in time. And so we can also balance our hearts, balance our minds, balance our lives, finding balance in the body, bringing our awareness to this sacred space, this sacred time, this sacred moment. So wherever we are hearing these words, we know that we are one. We are together on this journey. We are on the path. And so we bless this time together. Bless ourselves for being here now. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Shirley. We're so blessed to have you here tonight. Reverend Karen is on a wonderful vacation this week. She'll be back next week. So we're blessing you, Reverend Karen, on your rest and renewal time. This is our time of spiritual practice, where we practice oneness and unity, principles, teachings together in community. And so we join together knowing the truth through song. We've all heard singing is praying twice, so we get to raise our vibration through vibrating the truth of this throughout our bodies and into the space where you are, out into our world. Let's sing together.
We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. And in that unity we can live in harmony. The peace will come, 'cause we are one. We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. And in that unity we can live in harmony, and peace will come, 'cause we are one. We are one. We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me. We are one. We are one. And in that unity we can live in harmony, and peace will come, as we are one. Yes, we are one. We are one. We are one. Yes, we are one. Yes, we are one. We are one.
In this beauty of this truth, we sing the Tyata Om mantra, which is a Buddhist mantra for the healing of all suffering of all humans and animals throughout the planet, that they may be free from pain and that they may experience peace and good health and prosperity.
Tyata Om Bekhanse Bekhanse Mahabekhanse Rasa Samudgate Soha. Tyata
Seated posture where your spine is lifted, your heart is open, bringing a gentle smile to your face to relax the muscles around the eyes, to bring warmth, happiness to your being. Imagining that smile and filling your body, allowing you to relax and let go, to release the day. This evening we're going to engage in a loving kindness meditation. Ourselves and of our life's experience. Beholding all that you know of yourself with a deep compassion. A loving regard for all that has brought you to this now moment. know this loving kindness prayer for yourself. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be well. May I be at peace. Notice if any resistance showed up as you held that loving kindness for yourself. And know that whatever showed up, that you hold even that in compassion and acceptance. May I be at peace, even in my resistance to my own peace. Yes, there is always peace undergirding our experience. As we open to it. Now I invite you to bring to mind someone who is easy to love. Seeing them on a wonderful day in their life, perhaps it's a birthday or a dinner together or a child playing in the park or their backyard, just enjoying life, or maybe a pet. So we hold loving kindness for this being. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. Feeling some warmth around the heart as we hold this loving kindness. Just invite you to call to mind someone in your life who you feel perhaps neutral about, maybe a neighbor or someone you know from church, someone you see regularly like your mail carrier. Let us hold loving kindness for that person. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. We invite into the circle of our awareness now someone you may find challenging, difficult to love, someone you may be feeling some resistance towards today or in your past. send this person a blessing and metta. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. So we widen our circle even more to include all beings on this planet, all life, all plants and trees, vegetation, and the land and the sea, the air. Let us know this truth and this blessing. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be at peace. Projecting peace on earth. Peace on earth. Peace within. Peace without. Breathing in. Letting go. Feeling the expansion in the heart. Recognizing the presence of heaven on earth, here and now. So it is. So we bring our attention to the body as we notice the breath. Gently moving the body, making any adjustments that you may like to be able to shift your energy from our deep inward awareness to when you're ready, opening your eyes partially to begin to have a soft focus, let in some light, noticing the space around you. Present moment.
These activities of prayer and chanting and meditation allow us to be balanced, allow us to connect with the being that we are, the eternal beingness that is always available, so that we can allow more light to emerge through us, as us, into the world. And with these conversations and with this awareness, bring love, compassion, beauty, clarity, joy into the world. And so now is a time where we practice a sacred exchange, where we give and receive, where we allow our blessings to come forth through us to bless this ministry, this community, this campus, this work that we are about in the world. So I invite you to prepare your offering with the text to give number on the screen or through the website, or to just remember the monthly giving that you are part of. And let us focus our light and energy and love and compassion on these gifts that we give and receive as we say our offering prayer together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Thank you.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, you are the heart, you are the hands, we are the heart, we are the hands. I am the heart, I am the hands, you are the heart, you are the hands, we are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. You're a blessing to the world.
Good evening, everyone. Are you feeling the blessing of joining together in community this evening? We feel our connection here in the pyramid with those who are joining with us online. And just on such a gorgeous fall evening, as Reverend Shirley mentioned, the fall equinox is here finally. I know so many of us in Houston are relieved at the lower humidity and the cooler weather. I was amazed to look at my phone this morning and see 73. I haven't seen that number in I don't know how long, so just so beautiful. So hopefully you had some time to enjoy the day wherever you are. I know many of us, the majority of us who participate in this service are watching from home or from remotely. And we're still, even here in the pyramid, not hugging and not holding hands or the kind of things that we were doing before the pandemic. So I'm wanting to know if you're really feeling connected at this time, feeling a sense of connection and community. With our masks and our separation, we can start to feel isolated. Many of us have gotten used to watching the services from home or even sometimes missing them. And
and missing out on that connection of community. So this evening I'm going to talk about the essential nature of community as part of our spiritual practice. Unity teaches meditation, and we can think of meditation as a solo experience. I go somewhere, I need to go within, close the outer door, right? And go within and be by myself. And it can seem like we're talking about that spiritual practice is something you do by yourself. And yet, as we know here at Unity of Houston, we have 3 values that we speak quite often: being, becoming, and anybody know the third one? Belonging. Belonging is an essential value here at Unity. And our statement of belonging is we create a spiritual home for all people, knowing that we are one body and that we belong to each other. That my awakening is all tied up in your awakening, and that together we rise and transform. We transform ourselves, we transform the world. And so we're on this path of radical acceptance. We've been doing this Tara Brach series on her book, and we're coming towards the end. We've got one more next week with Reverend Karen. And so here, as we're coming to an awareness of all that we have learned throughout these weeks that we've been doing this process, that really comes together as we come into an awareness that in community is really where we're fully resourced to continue to do this work. I want to share with you a story from this chapter that Tara Brach shares, and it's a story from the quest for the Holy Grail. And it's about this young knight, and his name is Parsifal. And he's on a quest, and he's going about from town to town, and he finds this town that is a barren wasteland, that nothing is growing, and the people are just walking around like zombies. They just seem like they're depressed, their energy is down. They're just going through the motions of life. And one thing that he noticed was that they just seemed to think this was normal. No one was saying, well, what horror has befallen us, or what can we do to change this? They just kept perpetuating this situation. And so Parsifal, as a knight, he went to the castle of the city where he finds the king, and to his